Tuesday, July 24th, 2026, and you're watching the cwProposal report. Okay, we got two items to talk about today. A pretty small one for the beginning here is I did do more data validations on the jurisdiction. So now if you put in here Fairfax County, and then just say you put VA in there and don't put any commas or capitalize anything, right? When you tab off of that, it's going to look at it, clean it up, ask you if you want to change it to something more like this. If you just hit enter again, it's going to change that. So that's the first one. That's a small one. Another thing I did was I added a setting where you can add now units of measure. So for a while, what's happened is there's these 4 units of measure, and they're each hours, lineal feet, and square feet, and that's pretty much all that most of us ever use. But if you do want to add something else in there in the future, I wanted to give the ability to do that. Just to be clear too, that unit of measure has nothing to do if we put 10 in here and whatever it is cost 100. That's $1,000, and it doesn't matter what you do with the unit of measure. That does not affect the calculation. It's just there as a label to show you and to show the client, what the unit of measure is you're using for that item. It's an important piece, but it doesn't change anything in the calculations, just so you know that. So let's say we wanted to add one. Let's say we want to bring some stone in and we charge per the ton. So we want to add a unit of measure called ton. Now, one thing I will say before we even get started is you want to keep these really small so they fit in here. So if you can abbreviate it to two characters in a period like each is, or maybe 2 letters in a period, or at the very most 2 pairs of letters and periods. So we'll look at that. But if you go over here to the menu, there is a setting menu here that's typically closed. But if you click on the little arrow to open that up, and right now there's just one thing in there, and it's unit of measure. And if I click on that, it's going to show me a listing of all the units of measure that are in the system right now, which is each hour, lineal foot, and square foot. But we said, and you can click on these to edit them if you want. You won't be able to delete one. Let's say, for example, we try to delete this each. If we go to try to delete it, it's going to say, it gives you this message up here, and it says you can't delete this because it's used in a bunch of proposals, right? So you won't be able to delete them. If they're used somewhere, you'd have to go get rid of them out of all the proposals. You can modify the description of it. Of course, the description isn't really used anywhere yet, except for when you hover over it here, it shows you that little tooltip description. That's the only place that's really used. But if I did want to change that description, I could click on this, change this to, each something else, per item, and then hit add update, and it would save that. But let's create a whole new one. So it's all based off the name here. So let's create ton. We'll call it TN period, and then we'll just give a description of ton. And then if we hit add update, see how it added it to the list right here. And if we close it and just go back out and go for the unit, we see it's on here now. So I can use that anywhere I want. Again, you want to keep these small and keep them just the ones you use, because it keeps this list small and it's a lot easier. Of course, when you come into this list, when you tab in here, you can just type the first character. So now that I'm on unit, I can type E for each. I can type square footage for that. Lineal footage, I can hit an L. So that's a quick way to do that. But just to open up we won't save the changes. We'll open up this example deck that we use all the time, and you can see all the units of measure in here. And like I said, you want to keep them small so they fit in this box, right? Like just for an example, let's say we go create one and we call it, let's say we want to do concrete and we want to do cubic yards. Cubic yard. And we add this. Okay, now it's in our list right there. If we close this now, let's say we're going out here and we're doing concrete, and we want to charge per cubic yard. And let's say this item, we got to go into edit mode. This item's per cubic yard. You can see the cubic yard right here, and it'll actually, it's kind of hard to tell with that one, but so it makes the font a little bit smaller to squeeze it in there. to squeeze that in. So you want to keep them short if you can, but that's that. You can add your own units of measure now.